Hi guys, it's me Ty here, and today I'm going to talk about what we did to fix our Case IH 5250 loader tractor. And we were dealing with this issue for like 2.5 years or so. And what was going on is when we get cold for the winter, the tractor would lose all forward and reverse, so you couldn't move the tractor. So essentially, the tractor could only be used during the summertime as a haying tractor. And when you have a big front wheel assist, it kind of sucks because you want to use it for snow. So how it originally happened was like probably a week before Easter. My mom, she'd dropped a bale off in the Quonset for the horses, and she went to go back up, and she backed up against the fence, and she flipped the toggle switch on the steering column to go forward on the shuttle shift, and it would go forward. Uh, so she put it in reverse, and it would back up a little bit further towards the fence. So she ended up just shutting the tractor off. And then when all of us came out there for Easter for the holiday, um, we tried to figure it out and we could not get it. We ended up having to pull it out of there with my brother's new F-150 pickup, which was pretty impressive for a 14,000 pound tractor being pulled by an F-150, especially on snow and ice. Took quite a few runs at it. We pulled it up to a yard pole so we could plug it in for the rest of the winter, and we just could not get that tractor to move. And then finally, I went out there in like May that summer, and I hopped in, and it didn't want to move. I flipped it back and forth probably like two times, and all of a sudden it started moving. The transmission worked perfectly. So I told my brothers that, and I was like, maybe it was just a glitch, it just fixed itself. So the tractor worked great for that whole summer during haying season. And then in October, it dropped only down to 52 degrees out, and the transmission froze up again. Won't going forward or reverse. So that tractor was down all winter. Um, so then the next summer, I was planning on working on it. Wait for this phone to quit. So then the next summer, um, I hopped, like I said, that winter or whatever in October, it went ahead and dropped down to 52 degrees out, which isn't very cold, and the tractor lost all forward and reverse for the entire winter. So I was like, okay, this next summer here, I'm going to troubleshoot it. And I got back from Cambodia in probably like June or whatever, so that's when I started to work on it. And I jacked up the back tires. I put in two-wheel drive or whatever, and it didn't want to. It At first it didn't want to move, and I was like, "Oh, this is perfect. This way I can troubleshoot it because it has to be cold out." And um, after I did that a couple times, all of a sudden it started moving. First thing it moved in reverse, and then it gained forward. So I was like, "God darn it, I can't troubleshoot it this summer either." And I decided that I'm just not going to deal with the hassle of it. We're going to haul it into the dealership and have the diesel mechanic work on it. So that's what we did. We hauled it in, and it took forever for that transmission to not work for him. It dropped down to 22 degrees in October, and we get called up the mechanic, and he's like, "No, it's still driving in forward and reverse just fine, or whatever." And then finally, probably like around November 4th of last year, 2024 here, he called us up and he's like, "Yep, it ended up losing forward and reverse. It won't move anymore." So what he ended up doing is that when he goes to troubleshoot stuff in this situation is he takes a heat gun and he runs it along all the wires until the tractor starts moving, and that's where he does his investigation of of what component could be causing this, because we were thinking that it might be some corrosion in one of the connectors or whatever, bad ground. And he told us that he noticed when he was running it all around in the cab, that heat gun, that when as soon as he got close to the shuttle shifter on the left hand side of the steering column for forward and reverse, that all of a sudden the tractor started moving again. So he called us up and he told us it is $700 for a new um, uh, shuttle shifter lever. And we're like, yeah, go ahead and replace it. This tractor needs to be reliable. And that fixed it. We asked him to keep it there all winter, so that every month he could try it out to make sure that it hadn't failed if it wasn't other stuff. And um, and it worked fine all winter. And I just picked it up and then drove it all the way home. And also, just to let you guys know, the summer right before I took it back during that summer, I ended up replacing three of the relays on that 5250. On the right hand side of the steering column on the dashboard, that's where your fuse box is. And because a lot of other farmers had told me, I asked them, have you guys ever had this issue on like your 5250s or 5140s? And they're like, yes. They're like, usually anything transmission related for the relays in there, that those relays, they kind of fall out a little bit. So then they go ahead and they push them in there tighter and they zip tie them. And also, I think they said they have a fuse box on the left side of theirs. Well, on our 5250, I don't think that we have a fuse box on that side, just on the right hand side. So there was three relays that I could find on there that were transmission related, and they were expensive. I went to Napa and I paid $20 a piece, so it was $60 for those. And I thought that I fixed the problem at that point. And I think that's why the transmission actually worked until 22 degrees above zero, and it was still working. And then once it got colder, probably like down to 15 or 10 or whatever, it finally started acting up. So that was probably part of the issue, you guys. So I'd say replace those issues or those relays, and then also replace that shuttle shift lever. And the total bill came out to $1,100 after with all the labor of trying to troubleshoot it with mechanics. So we're very happy that we have a tractor back. So if any of you guys are having trouble with your 5250 or 5140s, I hope this helps you guys to keep your old tractors on the road. So if you guys like this content, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll just keep kicking out all these repair videos and about my travels all over Asia during the winter times and how to save you guys money. All right. Have a great life. All right. Bye.